stories. Today is another wintry, fun, cozy story that I'm going to read for you. As always, all these stories are fictional. They are not meant to be taken seriously. They are just meant for entertainment, fun, and overall enjoyment. If you are new here, these stories are all separated into 3 chapters, short chapters, and they are obviously winter themed. So let's begin. Today's story: The Hidden Recipe for the Winter Biscuits. Chapter 1: The Broken Stove. The St. Jude's Community Hall was the heart of the village of Frost Hollow. Every year, on the deepest day of winter, the entire village gathered there for the winter solstice festival. The best part of the festival was always the huge, warm, buttery biscuits baked by the beloved old baker, Mrs. Cable. Another Mrs. Cable. If you listen to last night's story, we also had Mrs. Cables, but they are not the same person. This year, however, disaster struck. The old cast iron stove in the community hall's kitchen finally broke just 2 days before the festival. It was too old to fix quickly, and every other oven in the village was too small to handle the massive batch of biscuits needed. Mr. Henderson, the festival organizer, paced anxiously. "We can't have the festival without Mrs. Cable's biscuits. It's the one thing everyone looks forward to. It's not the solstice without that buttery smell." Mrs. Cable, looking sad but practical, agreed. "I can't bake them, and without my biscuits, the festival won't raise enough money for the children's ice skating rink. I have failed the village." Young Thomas, the quiet boy who often helped Mrs. Cable clean her bakery, spoke up. "But Mrs. Cable, your secret biscuit recipe is the most important part. Maybe we don't need one huge oven. Maybe we can find a way to use all the small ovens in the village." Mrs. Cable smiled sadly. "That's a lovely thought, Thomas, but the recipe is written for a single giant batch. If we try to divide it into smaller batches, the proportions will go wrong and the biscuits will turn out tough and flat. I've never shared the recipe with anyone." And that is the end of chapter 1. So look still now that the festival that the village has every year won't be the same because they can't bake the delicious biscuits of Mrs. Cable. But let's continue with the other chapters and find out what happens. Chapter 2: The Secret Note in the Flour Bin. Thomas was determined. He couldn't let Mrs. Cable or the Solstice Festival down. He knew how much joy those biscuits brought. He went to Mrs. Cable's closed bakery. She let him in to clean up the last of the flour. As he worked, he noticed something odd. use half the butter and 3 scoops less sugar for every batch under 10 pounds. Baking time is 18 minutes at 375 Fahrenheit. Always add 1 pinch of nutmeg for a small oven. G. It was a secret revised version of the biscuit recipe. The instructions were written specifically for dividing the larger batch into smaller manageable portions for small home ovens. Mrs. Cable hadn't failed the village. She had prepared for a moment just like this years ago, keeping the secret close just in case. Thomas rushed to the community hall. Mr. Henderson, Mrs. Cable, I found a note, a special instruction for small batches. Mrs. Cable took the paper and tears welled up in her eyes. Oh, my dear mother's foresight! She wrote that when the old stone oven was first installed, just in case they ever replaced it. I completely forgot it was there. And that is the end of chapter 2. So as we can see, they found actually a recipe for smaller batches, and now if we had to guess, they are going to bake the cookies throughout the village and enjoy it through the festival. So let's get to the happy ending. Chapter 3, The Warmest Village. With the secret recipe in hand, the entire plan flipped from disaster to a community-wide event. Mr. Henderson gathered the villagers, announcing the stove was broken, but the biscuits were still being made. He assigned every family with a working oven, a portion of the dough, and a copy of the secret small batch instructions. The next day, the day of the solstice festival, the entire village of Frost Hollow smelled heavenly. It wasn't the smell of one oven, but dozens of small, warm kitchens working together. As the sun set on the shortest day of the year, everyone gathered in the community hall. They shared their fresh, cold, and perfectly baked biscuits. Some families had used special cookie cutters, some had brushed the tops with extra butter, but every single biscuit was warm, soft, and tasted exactly like the traditional solstice treat. Mrs. Cable stood by the door, watching the joyous scene. She realized that the biscuits were even better this year. They weren't just baked by one person, they were baked by the entire community. Thomas, sitting happily with a warm biscuit in hand, realized the deepest comfort of the season wasn't just the taste of butter and sugar. It was the quiet shared effort and the successful preservation of a loved tradition that made the cold winter day the warmest day of the year. And that is the end of our story, besties. I hope you enjoyed today's story. I hope it was relaxing and fun for you. Thank you all. Good night, everyone. I love you all so much, and I wish you